2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, hi everyone. Welcome. Ted here from eModels, emodels.co.uk, and welcome to part 12 of the Panzer IV medium tank build from Trumpeter in a massive 1/16 scale. Those of you who've been following the videos will know that we're up to stages now where we're starting to get this thing all near the end, and we're into the weathering. Just a little catch up on what I've done from the last video. Those of you who have been following the updates on Skipper's scale models, that's Skipper's scale models, will note that I've done a little bit of work on the exhaust. I've rusted it all up. I nearly forgot all about it actually. I've rusted it all up. I've really done the same process as we did with the extra tank tracks. Exactly the same process, but all I did was just add a few more pigments. Added the pigments a little bit thicker, and fixed it with the Dickel fix and the thinners as we did with the tracks, just to give it that rusty, used, worn out look. Anyway, moving on, what we've got to do now is look at these. These are filters. Often a part of the weathering process, missed out or not used by the modeler because they're a bit of a mystery. A little bit like the airbrush, I suppose, that until you've used them, until you've got used to them, or until you've worked out the mysteries, they tend to shy away from them. Anyway, you can make your own filters, but to make the ease of getting everything uniform, as I say, uniform in the way of making the colours up, I've gone and got these from eModels. I've got a few of them in a few different colours. I've got the MIG filters, and they are superb. And we'll look in a moment how we've put them on. So what is a filter? There's sometimes a little bit of a confusion between a wash and a filter. Like a wash, filters are layers of highly thin paint. However, that's about the only similar thing between them. A wash is, as you know, those that have used washes, is a matter of picking out individual sort of details, creating shadows like here, around this hatch here, where we'll be picking out the details of the hinges and the latches, and maybe this protective little sort of bar around it, and a wash will pick those out. And you normally apply them along the panel lines and such like that. A filter is intended to give an effect to the entire paint surface, to sort of harmonise everything together, and thus a filter is applied very sparingly, quite differently to the wash, and what it will normally do, it will darken the base coat. Filters won't lighten the base coat, it won't be able to do that, but it will darken it. So as you can see here, what we've done, we've put a lighter base coat on, and we're darkening it with the filter. I don't know if you can actually work it out on the camera how subtle it is, but you can see here, where's that, bring in the pointy stick for the fans of the pointy stick. You can see here where we've applied it, all along here underneath in the wheel arches, I suppose, and here along the side of the tank. Now hopefully you can see, if I move it around in the light, you can see a difference in tone between the turret, which is as yet untouched, and the side where we've applied the filter, and also here along the whole top. There's no filters being put on there yet. I thought I'd stop once I put this side on. I thought I'd stop and let you see the example of how it all goes together. Yeah, and we all do make mistakes. When I first got these filters, I was really keen to get them and try them out. But if we turn it around here, I put these filters on with a brush, and you could see here how I've applied them really too thickly. They've gone on in more of a wash, and it doesn't really sort of seem to work as well as it did on the other side. But not to worry, we all make mistakes, and these mistakes are, as my friend says, my friend Foxy says, happy accidents. Here it's given us more of a sort of wash streaky type effect, which works out quite well really. However, once we get the dust and the mud and everything else on, and the wheels on, all in the next stages of the weathering, it'll all harmonise and blend together, and we won't see it. So once again, it's another bit of a happy accident. Everything is fun in this. If you make a mistake, just find a way to fix it, and usually you can, just applying lots of mud. Anyway, let's have a look at how we can do these filters. So we'll just slide this over here a little bit. Now then, what I've got here, well, I've got part of the door from the armour that goes around the turret. I'm not actually going to be using this. I'm going to be using the closed doors. They'll go in there, which way? I think that's one from the other side. But really, how does it go together? What do we need? Well, we need a large round paintbrush. This is the Citadel wash brush. Bit of tissue. Let's try and get it in shot so you can see it. Bit of tissue and the filter. Now then, the filters really do need lots and lots of shaking. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake. And then open it up. I have shaken these a little bit earlier, and give it a stir with your brush, because it's really a lot of pigments in a very thin suspension. A lot of pigments really thinned, and they're in suspension in these enamel thinners. Give it a shake, give it a stir, and then fetch your brush out and wipe it all off. Really give it a wipe off. And then just draw it across your tissue and start to apply. Now if it goes on and you can see it, you've probably got it on too thick. So what we're trying to do now is put it on, and now hopefully this is probably one of those experiences where you can't really see what's happening, but we're giving it more or less an invisible coat. Now they say that the way you know that the filters are going on right is to keep part of the model unpainted, so you can see that there's a difference. And these are how it goes on. You're almost trying to reflect it in the light, trying to see if it's wet. Now then, you can do this fairly quickly. You could probably get a 1/35 scale tank filtered in about 5 minutes. Now then, with washes, I keep saying washes, with filters, leave them alone. Once it's done, go and find something else to do. Go and play on the computer, go and build another part of the model, but leave it for a good hour, 2 hours to dry. Because if you go back over this now with a filter again, and that's how quick it was done. You think, oh, maybe I should play around with it a little bit more. If you go back over at the filter again, you'll just wash it all off. So you really do need to leave it to dry for about an hour and a half, and then you can come back and you can put another colour on. And each time you put a colour on, it's going to get darker, as we could see around here. As we could see in there, it's going to get darker and darker each time. Now, being on such a large model, it's obviously like brush painting it. No matter how hard you try, you'll get brush marks. So I found that the way to apply it on such a large model, to harmonise everything together, is to airbrush it. It will go through the airbrush. I don't use my Harder and Steenbeck airbrush for this, but I use my old cheap Chinese copy. I use that, and it goes on perfectly. This top part has been sprayed, and the colours I've used for the Abtelung is, I should probably tell you that, it's the ochre for light yellow. Yeah, I can't tell you the number because it's wiped off. The thinners in it have wiped the number off. I can't remember what it is now. No, I can't remember. But it'll be on eModels website. Have a look on there for it. I'm also going to then apply, because now I've put this on, it's bright, it's warmed it up a little bit. Now I'm not quite sure that that's right, so I'm going to take brown for desert yellow, and once this is dried and once I've done all of this, I'm going to give it a coat of brown for desert yellow, which will tone it down again, and it'll bring the browns back as well. I'm just thinking at the moment, because we're thinking of doing it in the camouflage, the white winter scheme. I'm thinking of just touching it just around some of the edges, just giving it a touch of blue, just to cool the colours off. Whether I do that, whether or not, I don't know. But what we'll do it in these stages. We'll do the filters, then we'll do some chipping, and we'll do some washes as well, and then we'll go over it with the white camo, as though it's been in the field and that's the actual way that the crew would have done it. And then we'll look at weathering the camo, the white camo pattern after that. Right, so I'm going to go back to the spray bench, and then I'm going to let it settle down and dry for a little bit, and in the meantime I'll get on and I'll show you how, sorry, wobbly camera, I'll show you how to do the tow cable. I've already done this, and I haven't been able to film it because it's really tiny, well, small compared to the rest of the tank. I've taken a set of pictures, and I'll do a little description of how we can do the tow cable, and weather all that up, ready for going on the back of the tank. So I'll go nip off to the spray bench, get this all sprayed up, and while it's drying we'll have a look at doing the tow cable. Alright, see you in a moment.
Here is an example for you to ponder.
Oh well, hi. Right, thanks to the amazing Mr. Fox and Dog Sounds Music for that little clip there while you watched how the tow cable was made. And here it is, if I can get it into focus. There we go, there's one end. There's the other. Turn them around. Using the colours to give it that worn, used look. These would most probably have been on the tank when the tank was sprayed, so that's why we put the little base coat on, and then we've gone over it in the metallics and the washes to weather it all down. And if you can hear a little noise in the background, I've got my little 5-year-old granddaughter Skylar with me, who's come to see how we make the videos for you people. So,
hello, Fox.
there she is there. Okay, right, let's go back to the spray booth. I'll go and drag the tank over and see if it's all dried and finished, and we'll have a look at the next bit. See you in a moment. Hello everybody, welcome back. Here it is, back from the spray booth. I'm on my own now as well. My granddaughter's gone back with her mum. Maybe she'll make an appearance or come and watch me as we get a little bit further on in the video. Here it is anyway, back from the spray bench. I've applied the filters, they've gone on well, and they've blended everything together and changed the tone of the paintwork. Hopefully you can see on the camera. I'm trying to look through my viewfinder to try and see if you can work out, or try and see what you can see and work out the different tonal value of the filters as they've been applied on the tank. I have gone and used the 3 filters in the end. We started with the ochre, which gave it that orangey sort of glow, which hopefully you saw on the one side of the tank before we took it across to the spray booth. That gave it that orangey glow, which sort of warmed the temperature of the paintwork up a little bit, which was really a little bit too warm for what we wanted. It would be fine maybe in a desert scene or a desert type tank, but what we've done, we've gone over that with the brown for desert yellow, and that's taken that yellow glow off and toned it down into a more earthy type visual look. Also then I've gone across the top just with, I think, 2 layers of blue, and that's taken that brownness off and give the tank a colder, bluer type temperature. Now it's really subtle, you may not be able to pick that up on here. Also what I've done is I've gone from the top to the bottom with varying amounts of the filter. I've left it lighter on the top and then darkened it down as we've gone into the bottom, creating a more of a shadow and a heavier sort of feel to it as it's gone down, which would, I suppose, even in Russia, on the Russian Eastern Front in the summer, the sunshine would have given it a bleaching type effect. And the atmosphere as well would have kept the surface, the upper surfaces of the tank sort of brighter than the bits that have been in shadow, because if you remember, the shirts and armour would have been on here as well, and then underneath the mud guards under here is where the sun don't shine, and it would be a little bit darker. Now yeah, we are going to eventually weather all this up and do a lot more on the tank. Now, talking about weathering, you may have been listening to my ramblings if you've been paying attention just before we went off to the spray booth, where I spoke about what we were going to do. We were now going to go on and do the washes, the pin washes, the highlights and the chipping, but we can disregard all that because I've completely changed my mind. I told you this build was completely fluid all the time, and we're going to do all the chipping and washes afterwards, because I think to do it now would be a complete waste of my time and just creating work for myself. So what we are going to do is go on and put the white winter camo on. We're going to do that by the application of some heavy chipping fluid by AK Interactive, and the white snow itself will be Viero, just a white acrylic paint. The chipping fluid is just the same as your hairspray technique, but this is going to be, I think, a little bit more controllable than hairspray, because hairspray can be sometimes a little bit hit and miss because of all the perfumes and everything that they apply in hairspray. I think the chipping fluid is going to be give us a little bit more control about what we want to do and where we want to do it, but the principle is exactly the same. Anyway, so I think what we're going to do now, we can apply this by airbrush, so it's a matter of going back over to the spray booth and you can watch the spraying going on and see how it goes from there. So less of my ramblings and over to the spray booth, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, you join me here again at the spray booth with not really very much to see. I'm applying the chipping fluid, and being being a water like substance, it's clear. Even I'm having difficulty trying to see where it's going. So probably on the video you have got no chance. It's just a matter of trying to reflect or have a look at it in the light to try and see where it's gone. What we're trying to do with it is give it thin coats. It recommends on the bottle 2 to 3 thin coats. The more you apply, the greater the effect. So it's going to be a little bit sort of trial and error to see that we've got enough of the chipping fluid on, and then allowing that to dry and following it with the white paint. I'm spraying this about 22 psi. I haven't got a clue on the size of the needle because it's an old Chinese thing off eBay. But I'm applying it quite thinly. And then it should dry, I believe, fairly rapidly. As I discussed before, the chipping fluid gives us a little bit more control over the hairspray out of a can, as we believe we know how it's going to act, whereas the hairspray out of the can, being a different formulas and containing alcohol and such, can give unpredictable results. So, not having used this product before, I'm as keen to learn about it as you are. Right, and also this tank doesn't fit in my spray booth. We're just doing the main surfaces of the tank for the whitewash. and obviously the wheels, the drive wheels, the road wheels. We're trying not to let this stuff pool either. Trying to get it on nice and thin. And get it right the first time. I have heard some good reports about it. You can't even see how this spray airbrush putting this stuff on. I might actually not be doing anything at all. I might be just blowing air on this for all you know. I assure you, there is a chipping medium going on here. Anyway, not much to see here. Move along. See you in a minute. Okay, here we go then. Here's some of the white paint going on for the winter camo. Just check the airbrush. Now we only want this to go on thinly, and we don't want it to go on sort of evenly either. Got to be thinking that these guys have applied this in the field, and it's going to go on quite unevenly and wear off at the same time, because remember, we are going to chip it off. So in the corners we can go quite thickly where it would gather and thin it out excuse me, thin it out across the main body, but only put it on a thin coat anyway, because we'll put about 2 coats on this and then begin to chip it off. Hopefully you can see something happening this time. This again is straight from the bottle. I haven't thinned it, and once again it's going on with the same sort of air pressure as we put the chipping fluid on, around about 22. I tend to spray everything around that pressure and just adjust the mixes accordingly. I'm only doing the hull at this time because you've got to let the paints dry and then sort of act on it as soon as it's ready to go, because the longer you leave the chipping fluid, the harder it is to get off, till eventually it won't come off at all. Also, I haven't put the tools on. I was thinking of leaving the tools, putting the tools on and then spraying everything at once, but that really sort of makes the whole tank white then, and I think the differing colours of the tools will provide some variation to the colour of the tank and give it a more interesting look. Now the toning down as well, talking about giving it a look, the toning down as well with the filters also gives a better contrast between the white and the main colours of the tank. Just trying to spin this round without knocking it off. And we're only doing the surfaces that would be seen. We're not going to bother underneath the wheels. Yeah, I think saving there'll be battalion painters and people who would be trying to save themselves a bit of time, and no sense in painting what you can't see. Now I'm only hoping that this all works properly, otherwise there'll be some post chipping to do the old fashioned way with a sponge. At the back here, if we can get it into shot, let's just put the spray brush down. At the back here, move the camera down, I don't know, wobbly camera, move it down a little bit. There we can see the rear of the tank. The tow cables are on. I've given it just a light brush over here. We don't want to spoil all this effect that we've done. On the rust, because even the whitewash would have burnt off on that as well. And once again it adds that little bit of contrast in the colours. There's the first coat on. We'll leave that just to go off a little bit, then we'll come back and just put a little bit more on. It's quite difficult trying not to get it even, because that's what we've taught ourselves and becomes like a second nature to when we start airbrushing. I'm not going to bother doing the armour plates as well just yet. I'll probably do them more towards the end. I'll concentrate on getting the tank itself done first. I do have my little bit of a temporary mask just to stop all the spray going into the tank, but the control on the airbrush is quite good. I'm just trying to keep, it's so big this tank, it's difficult to keep everything in view or for you to see it. There, see how here, where's the pointy stick on? I'll be with you in a moment. See how here we've allowed the paint to lie a little bit thicker than we have on the other areas. It's just where the whitewash would tend to pool if they were put it on sort of by the bucket load. It would be pooling in all the areas, and we wouldn't necessarily need to chip it off in there, because we'd be looking at areas of high traffic where the elements would have worn it down. And there may be some areas where there wouldn't be any chipping at all. Right, let's have a look at the wheels on here. As I say, we've done the... I try not to knock the camera too much. We've done the rest of the road wheels as well. I'll show you them later when it all comes together. And obviously the easier to reach bits would probably have a a little bit more paint applied to them. Right, that's about the first coat on. As you see, we've now got a white tank. So I'll let this just go off a little bit more, then put the second coat on, and then we'll go back over to the workbench and we'll do some chipping. We'll see how it goes on in a moment. Ah, well, welcome back. Here we are back at the base, back at the workbench, and we're ready to have a look at seeing if this white paint will now chip off. If it doesn't, we're going to have a white tank. Anyway, what do we need? We need some scrubby brushes, some oldish stiff bristled brushes. Don't use your best ones, we're going to use these for scrubbing and scraping. Maybe a toothpick or something with a bit of a point on it. Toothbrush always comes in handy. When you finish cleaning your teeth, you can clean the paint off. And some water to do it. Now I've put the water in one of these travel type spray bottles that you can pick up quite cheaply from any of the local discount stores or supermarkets. Just rather than having a tub of water lying around, we can just apply a mist of water quite easily. Let's put it on that front wing there. Just leave it to let it soak in a little bit, and we can begin hopefully chipping. There we go. Now the smaller the brush, the smaller the area that you chip. And just what we want to do is look at areas that would normally sort of protrude. There's a bit of, I think there's a bit of paint left in this brush. Let's change it a little bit. Take it off with a cotton bud. Won't come to much harm because we're going to do some weathering on it as well. And see, we can have big chips. Even a cotton bud's taking this chipping fluid off. Big chips, little chips, and giving it a scrub. Now obviously up here, a small pointy stick required. Obviously up here we haven't had any water sprayed on it, but it's been down it, and there's a message coming through on my phone. Just turn that off a second. Well, I lost track now. Right, yeah, we haven't put any water on this area up here, so it's proving a little bit more difficult just to get it off. So let's give it a little bit of a spray. There's some spray gone over here as well, so we can look at that. Now you can pick out the area where you're going to chip with your sharp tool. As Mr. AK says with his product, the more you put on, the greater the effect is going to be. Now I don't want big chips coming off this. Yeah, if we get some big chips off, what doesn't matter. I don't want big chips coming off, but I do want some sort of wear and tear, like in there. Where the weather and other things have acted upon the brush, acted upon the paint. The toothbrush seems to be working quite well for this. sorry, wobbling the camera again. It's just on my shoulder now. Hopefully you can hear things a little bit better. I've got a new setup with the camera. I met Tony over at Heligan Workshop. Let's give me some advice on a new camera setup. Just basically a way of holding the camera. I can get it nearer to the work, so you can see things a bit better. Let's have a look for another brush. So you can see things a bit better and hopefully hear better as well, and it makes editing for me a little bit better too. That's a nice stiff brush. Get in there. Now the longer you leave this to dry, the harder, and you'll get a different effect too with removing the paint. We do need a little bit of we do need just a little tank of water just to dry the brush off. I'll get some paper just to dry your brush. Let's take you in a little bit more. Hopefully you can see what's going on here. We could chip all along the edge. On here. Toothbrush time. Toothbrush seems to work ideally. There. Down here, I'm sure I would have thought that this would be an easy place for, keep wobbling that camera, I would have thought this would be an easy place for the crew to walk up and down and access the tank. So, and also it's going to take a lot of wear just because it's at the front of the tank. So we could take quite a bit more off. Leave the bits in the corner. And we can get some, using your point, we could make some scratches. And chips. Chip it off on the corners. Always looks quite good if you can, in the corners, you can give it a wear sort of round the three edges of the box as such. Not quite used to the camera being so close to me at the moment. I keep giving it a nudge and makes it wobble. Use some of if we use the cotton bud, just to dry it off, and you can see where you've been. working your way around and up. Just using the water reactivated again. Some work on the hatches. This is just the first stage. Well, we've done the filters, which has blended everything. This is really the first stage of the weathering. We'll go on from this. We'll put the washes on. It's showing a really good contrast where it's come through with the green. A little bit less on the Dunkelgelb. But that all makes the visual effect all the better. Once we get some earth tones on, we get some of the mud and the dust, it will tie it all in again. Right, there's going to be quite a bit of this to do. That's how it's done. Just keep scrubbing, because if you take too much off, what you need to do is let the thing dry. Let the thing dry. So I'm just taking some water off here just so I can see where I'm going, because it tends to smudge it a little bit. So there, you can see that. That's good. Go right along these fenders. Yeah, if you take too much off, you think, oh, I could have done with a little bit more on there. You can let it dry, maybe overnight, and you can start it again. Not start it again. You could just give it another coat of the chipping powder, the chipping fluid, and then have another go with the white and do it again. So there. Oh yeah. I've done the front as well. I haven't chipped it yet, but I will be doing some chipping under here. But this will be splashed with mud as well. And that's it. Right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and do the turret as well, catch it all, put it all together, and then we'll have a look at that. And we're getting quite well on in this video. We might be running out of time, and we'll be ready to do something else maybe for the next video. Right, I'm going to go and carry on with this before it all dries off and gets too hard to come off, and we'll come back and show it all together in a moment. Okay, bye now. Oh, welcome back. Here it is then, all painted and chipped. You can see I've put the decals on, the decals, the stickers on. I've left the area around that. When I put them on, I've sprayed sort of around them, just to give the impression that the crew have sort of added the whitewash but wanted to keep the unit identity, so that the numbers are clear. The whitewash that I've given it has gone on fairly thinly, almost giving the impression that it's getting to the end of the winter, or the rains and the atmosphere have thinned out the hastily applied whitewash, and washed it all off, and that amongst the chipping has taken it all away, so it's very light. The way to do that is not to give everything a thick coat. Remember how I said when we were putting the white paint on, it needed to be all an uneven sort of application. Normally, as I've said, we try to get paintwork and such on evenly and a nice layered coat, but this needs to go on unevenly, thin in places, thick in others. It needs to be thick around the corners where the paint would gather, and even when it's sort of the whitewash is washed off, it would wash down the tank and gather into some of the nooks and crevices. So that's it. I think we're running out of time now. We could go on for ages, but I think what we'll do, next time we'll go and make another video. We'll look at some of the washes and adding some grime and dirt and things to it. I have put the wheels back on, just temporary again, just at the moment. The wheels and the tracks have gone on to give an idea what it's going to be like in the end. Anyway, that's all from me, Ted here at E-Models. That's them. Go and have a look at these guys. If you come across this on YouTube, go and have a look at E-Models if you're interested in modelling. As my good friend Fox says, if they haven't got it, you probably don't need it. And go and have a look at some of the other YouTube videos that E-Models are putting up from Fox Wolf with his Gundam figures, and the amazing Tony with his recent videos of his motorbike. There's some great guys out there. Post some pictures of your build as well if you're building something. Let's see what you're doing. But anyway, that's about all I can do on this for the moment. So goodbye from Ted, and thanks for watching. Bye now.